Hi everyone, and welcome to the WTD podcast. My name is Kyia Mochitani, and I'm your host for today's episode. Every episode, it'll be me right here. So for today's episode, we are talking all things want to date, and you can tell by the title, we're talking about when your significant other and you are just arguing a lot, or you and your family member even, you can even bring it into that realm, is just arguing a lot and you don't know, why or what to do about it or anything of that sense. Oh, sorry, excuse me. So let's get right into it. And I want to start off by telling you a story. Recently, a few weeks ago, or a week or two ago actually, Jake and I were in this period where all we did was argue, and we just got annoyed with each other. Every little thing I did pissed him off. Every little thing he did pissed me off. And it just was not enjoyable to be around each other. It was just such an awful time where I didn't we didn't want to hang out with each other. And that's not how we like to feel, because we love each other so much. And it got to a point where I was like, okay, why are we feeling like this? What is happening? And we'd get into these little bickering arguments. You do this or you do this, and I don't like when you do it. Da, da, da. And I was like, still, nothing's working. What is the problem? And so I sat with this. We both, I guess I would say, sat with this issue. We were like, why do we feel like this? What is happening? What are we lacking? What am I not doing for you? And what are you not doing for me? And what we came up with was I was lacking feeling loved by him. I just wanted a lovey-dovey, gentle love, and he just wasn't giving me that. He was, giving me love in other ways that I wouldn't say didn't want, but didn't fill me up. And he was just lacking feeling appreciated. He felt like I wasn't appreciating all that he does for me. He felt like I was taking him for granted. And oh my gosh, that's terrible, right? So that was the main theme. That was what we got out of that whole situation. And when he told me that, old Kyia, unconscious Kyia, would have said, you know what, Jake, you're wrong. I've appreciated you, and I've told you I've appreciated you when I did this, 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 and this, and I'll list all the things. But instead, what Jake and I have learned and what we've come to do was just, whenever there's an argument, whenever there's something at hand, was just to take the ego out. Because I can't sit here and tell him, Jake, you're not allowed to feel that way. I can't sit there and tell him, no, you're wrong for feeling that, when that's how he feels. And who am I to say differently? That's just how he felt. That's how he feels. And so when I take that ego out and I'm just like, okay, this is how he feels despite what I think or anything, despite getting defensive, despite anything of that sort, this is truly just how he feels. And so what we did was we just listened to each other. There was no ego, there was no but this, there was no interrupting, it just was this. And I got my time to speak and he got his. And we came up with solutions together to make it work. So in this story, an example, the solutions we came up with was for me to make an extra effort of being vocal with him and telling him when he does things, or at random times, spontaneous times, be like, hey babe, I love you so much, and I thank you so much for doing this, and I want you to know that I see what you're doing and I'm grateful and I really appreciate it. And just filling his bucket, and because I don't like to make him feel like that, so I would do anything and truly mean what I would say to him. And what he did was, whenever there was a situation of when we're playing a pool game or a card game or in the car or at the gym, it was just being lovey-dovey. Hey, how are you? I love you so much. Because I don't like being treated, I'm that person, I don't like being treated like one of the boys, right? So I like to feel loved, I like to feel gentle, I like to feel the nurturing kind of love. And that's what I wanted, and that's what fills me up, right? And I'm sharing this specific story with you because after 5 years of dating, Jake and I still go through rough patches. After 5 years of dating, Jake and I still bicker. After 5 years of dating, Jake and I still struggle sometimes and go through low lows and high highs, It's nowhere near perfect. We are not a perfect couple. We just try and we work so hard and we work with what we're given. Another example of what a lot of our arguments used to stem from, and I would say like year 1, 2, maybe even 3, was I used to get mad at Jake for not being able to read my mind. So we'd get into like a little bit of an argument, and I would say, you know, I don't want you to talk to me right now. I just want you to leave me alone. Like I don't want to talk to you. But really what I wanted, and I don't know if any of you guys can relate, was for them to just stay there, or, you know, be like, no, I'm gonna be here with you, and I want to talk to you. I want to work this out. That's what I wanted. But I told him something completely different. And Jake, he's awesome. This is our first relationship ever, so like he would just, you know, honor what I would say, and I would get mad at him because I'm like, that's not what I want. Like, and he's like, well, what am I supposed to do? You're telling me this, and I'm doing it, and now you're getting mad at me for doing it. I'm just confused. And it took me to the point of just being like, okay, Kyia, let's cut this whole argument time, because these arguments would last for like 2 hours, because I would play the whole game of like, no, I don't want to talk to you. It's fine. I just want to be left alone. And then we wouldn't talk for a few, and then you'd check him. Nope, don't want to talk to you. I just want to be left alone. And I would just sit and cry in my room because I just wanted him to like randomly show up at my house or something crazy like that. Like what? So I had to come up with, okay, how can I cut this argument time in half, or even more than that? Because I don't like arguing with the person I love the most. So like what I came up with was I just had to be honest and vulnerable. And I just had to tell him, you know, what he was doing was making me sad or mad, and tell him exactly what I needed from him in that moment. You know, if you don't tell your partner what they're doing, that what they're doing is making you sad or mad or hurt or angry or any of that, if you don't tell them that, how else are they supposed to know? And there's no argument of, well, they should just know, obviously. Guys, we're all so different. What makes me mad doesn't make Jake mad, and what makes Jake mad doesn't make me mad. It's like, we're so different. Every one of us is so different. So like, we're all raised differently. We have different experiences. We perceive, everything so different, right? So who are you to say, you should just know, because I was raised this way, you should just know? What if it's, okay, well, for next time, just, can you please not do this? Or I'd really appreciate it if this. And just be honest, be vulnerable. An analogy that I think will help you is just to put everything out on the table and leave no crumbs behind. Because those crumbs will always be there until you clean it up. And what I mean by that is leave everything on the table. If there's an argument and a bunch of other pent up stuff is coming out, just leave it all on the table and say, you know, I'm sorry that this is all coming out and I should have said something earlier, but I'm going to say it now. And just leave it all on the table, because those crumbs, those feelings will always be there until you talk about it again, or until you have another argument or anything. Leave it all on the table. No crumbs behind, because those crumbs will always be there until you clean it up. Think about that and remember that. You know, maybe you're arguing with your significant other because you guys are in an unalignment. Maybe you're lacking something and you don't know it yet, or you haven't thought about it yet, or your partner's lacking something, or there's a feeling or there's a reason why when Jake gets mad in the car that really triggers me. Why? Why is that? Unravel those things. Get deeper. You know, fully understand the situation and what you want out of your partner, or what you're lacking, or how you want to be loved. You know, Jake and I have learned over the course of forever is I need to love him from his love language, right? Like I need to love him how he receives love the best, and I want him to do that for me. His love language has changed over the years, but right now it's quality time. So like just spending uninterrupted time with him, being like, hey, how are you? I love you. You're freaking amazing, and you care about me, and I care about you so much. And talking about things that he's passionate about, or listening to all the times where he was playing FIFA and made a really cool move, because that's what sets his soul on fire. That's what makes him happy. Or hearing him be super passionate and having conversations with him about Survivor or things like that. That's what makes him happy. And I want to like be present in those times. And I like to be loved by the same thing, which is so ironic. But my quality time looks a little different. Like, I would rather just sit and talk deep. Like, I'm a deep talker. I love talking deep. I love talking about, like, you know, like trauma, or like what makes Jake feel insecure, or why do I feel insecure, or, you know, other things of that sort. Sorry, my throat's a little dry. So just love each other by your guys' love language, or how each other receives love the best. I like to say, you know, when Jake and I argue, or we bicker, or, you know, we go through not the best patch, it's all because we love each other. We love each other so much. We just care so much, and we want something out of this, and we'll work really hard. And we just get frustrated with each other, and because we just care so much, and we're so passionate about each other, and we just love each other so much. And I would like to say, like, you know, if I didn't care about growing with Jake, if I didn't care about this relationship, if I didn't like love him so much, then like nothing would bother me. Like nothing would affect me, nothing would affect us. But it affects us, and it affects me because I truly want something. Like, this is something I hold close and true to my heart. Like, I love our relationship, and I will nurture our relationship, and it's important to me. That's why I care. That's why I get sad sometimes. That's why. So, you know, if you and your partner are going through an argument patch, or arguments, or whatever, it's just because you guys care. It's just because you guys love each other. It's just because you guys want it to work out. But also, like, I want to bring to light, like, understand that there are like many situations where the person you're with, or your significant other, like, it's just not healthy, right? Like, there are a few things that like Jake and I've never had to have an argument about, and like never will. And if we ever have to have a conversation about it, it probably will just be over for us. Like, for instance, Jake and I have never had and it's different for every couple. So before I share, like, it's not because Jake and I've never talked about these things, and if you guys have talked about it, you guys are done. Like, no, like, it's different for every couple, and every couple has their own like set of like rules, or like morals, or whatever, and it's totally different, and there's no judgment. But this is what Jake and I's, for instance, if you're looking for examples, is Jake and I've never had to have an argument about cheating. I've never cheated on him, and he's never cheated on me, and if any of that were to happen, like, that would just be over for us. But it's different for every couple, so just don't, you know. Or like, Jake and I've never had to argue about like any form of violence or harassment. Like, there is none of that. There is none of that here. It's not tolerated. But again, it's different for every couple, so take that with a grain of salt. But if you're just looking for examples, so you just have to understand, like, with the person you're with, like, what are the red flags, if any, and is it worth pursuing? Is it worth going through an argument with? Like, just because you guys are arguing, oh, we're arguing because it's all out of love, but then it's an argument every single day for 5 months straight. Like, that's we need to revamp that. Let's look deeper into that, and stuff like that. So, a few key points that I want you guys to take away from this episode is, take the ego out of it, right? Like, don't get defensive. Don't tell the person they're wrong for feeling anything. They're not wrong. This is truly how they feel, and honor that. And don't get defensive. Don't make them feel like they are wrong for feeling. Listen with no intent of responding. So when your significant other, you know, is sharing their piece or sharing how they feel, just be there. Be present and listen. Don't listen with, okay, I'm gonna come back here, and okay, you said this, and I'm gonna talk about, no. Just listen. Understand that, like, maybe you're lacking something, or maybe you're feeling something that you want from your partner, and they're not giving it to you. So what is it? Figure out what it is. Sit with that thought. Another thing is just to be vulnerable. Leave it all on the table. No crumbs. Leave it all out there. Don't make your partner read your mind. And lastly, be gentle. Communicate in a way that your partner can receive, and with love. Although, yeah, I say stand up for yourself, but also be gentle. So, like, for example, how I talk to Jake would be something like this. Hey Jake, like, I really don't appreciate how you're doing this, and I know that you have so much on your plate, and I know that you're going through this, but it would mean a lot to me if you don't do that, because it really hurts my feelings, and it hurts me. You're standing up for yourself, you're honoring them, and you're gentle with them. So that's food for thought. If you guys love this episode, I want to hear it. Give it a rating and review, like, comment, follow on Instagram, TikTok, whatever. Starting this podcast is seriously a forever dream of mine, and from a friggin' thought to a dream to now reality, it's just unbelievable. And you guys could be doing a million different things right now, but you're right here listening to me, and for that I'm forever grateful. Thank you guys so much. I seriously love you guys with all my heart and more, and I'm just so blessed. I'm so grateful. I have no words. Anyways, I love you guys so much. Have the best day ever. Mwah.